Many gym goers with the aim of achieving hypertrophy believe that training to muscular failure is essential. When we use the term muscular failure, we're referring to the point during a resistance exercise set when the muscles can no longer produce sufficient force to control a given load. Taking sets to failure makes sense, as it should engage the full spectrum of high threshold motor units, which have been shown to have the greatest hypertrophic potential. However, muscles are not completely fatigued at the point of concentric muscular failure, because they are still capable of producing force at lower loads. This has led some to speculate that drop sets might be an effective strategy to fatigue more fully the musculature and enhance muscular adaptation by stimulating the growth of type 1 muscle fibers from their increased time under load. So what are drop sets? Also known as descending sets or breakdown sets, drop sets are when an exercise is performed to muscular failure and then the load is immediately reduced and the exercise is continued for more repetitions with the reduced load. In terms of the current evidence, the jury is still out as to whether drop set training provides an additive hypertrophic benefit to performing traditional resistance training with straight sets. At least this is the case when total training volume remains similar between conditions. Despite this, Brad Schoenfeld and Jozo Grgic, in their article "Can Drop Set Training Enhance Muscle Growth?", published in the Strength and Conditioning Journal, provides us some recommendations that we can follow when using drop sets to achieve muscular hypertrophy. This presentation, brought to you by Talking Sports Science, aims to summarise 5 key recommendations from their article. Let's dive straight into the recommendations. Recommendation 1, load. Load is typically reduced by 20 to 25% with each drop. However, larger or smaller drops in load can also be used. Larger reductions such as 60 to 70% would likely make it more difficult to maximise peripheral fatigue, whereas smaller reductions in load such as between 5 and 10% will reduce the total amount of repetitions that can be performed. Moving on to recommendation 2, rest. The rest interval should be minimal. The time between sets should just be enough to reduce the load and get yourself into a position to start the next set. Moving on to recommendation 3, volume. 1 to 3 drops in load are most commonly used. However, it remains unclear if there is any benefit to using more than 3 drops in load. Recommendation 4 is exercise selection. When it comes to exercise selection, both multi-joint and single joint exercises can be used. However, from a practical and safety perspective, single joint exercises are recommended. And last but not least, recommendation 5, frequency. You can use drop sets multiple times throughout a training week. However, continuous use of drop sets can put you at increased risk of overtraining and psychological burnout. In the long run, this may impair the hypertrophic adaptations you are striving for. So when to use drop sets? If you are short on training time, you can use drop sets instead of traditional sets, as this can reduce session duration without compromising muscle growth. Alternatively, you can add a drop set to the last set of an exercise for a given muscle group. This is a feasible strategy for many to increase training volume without substantially increasing the duration of a workout. In addition, the inclusion of drop sets can add a novel training stimulus to your session. And that concludes this video presentation. Hope you found that useful, folks. This presentation was brought to you by Talking Sports Science. Thanks for listening. See you next time.